Going live. Oh. Hello, everyone. Good
Hi.
afternoon. How are you all doing? Thank you for joining us today. It's an awesome time. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Let's Talk College. Let's talk college. Let's talk college. Hello, family. Let's
Hey.
talk college. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, my name is Coach Lola Owokoniran, and I'm so glad you're here tonight. Tonight we're continuing a very, very important conversation. Um, with me is my dear co-host, Jummy.
Hi.
So last time, Jummy and I started this conversation, and we covered so much. I mean, we ran over time, and we did not get through all of our questions, the live questions, and what we had prepared together to discuss. So tonight we are continuing in that same energy on the conversation because this topic is too important for us to just rush through. And if you missed part one, the replay link is in the description section of this video. So make sure you go back and watch it after tonight's live. If you're joining us live, awesome, awesome, awesome. Please do well. Say a hello, a hi. We'd love to hear from you and say, oh, beautiful. Mr. Fadari, welcome, welcome, welcome. And hello to Miss Golder, Gold's Fitwell Lifestyle. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us live. We do appreciate you taking time out today. And please keep sharing, and like the video. Give this video a thumbs up. We appreciate it. The more likes we get, the more, the algorithm pushes the video, recommends it to other people who need to hear this information. Now, if you missed part one, like I said earlier, the link is in the description section of this video. In part one, we talked about the difference between sticker price and the real cost of college. We covered the basics of financial aid, scholarships. We covered all about scholarships, and we have much more coming up your way, and cost saving strategies as well. So, but tonight we are focusing more on student loans, debts, budgeting, and family decision making and mistakes that we all should avoid as we go on this journey of college. It should be a fun time, fun experience, but how can we do it, enjoy it, send our kids off to a safe environment, debt free, and for them to still get to enjoy all of that? So, if you are a parent, a student, or someone helping a student prepare for college, this conversation is for you. Please go ahead and type college in the chat if you're here with us tonight, just the word college. And as always, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe if you're yet to. Follow us on social media and share this live with another parent or student because families truly need this conversation. Again, tonight I'm here with Miss Jummy Adeyemi, a college planning advisor, and together we host this Let's Talk College Conversations every third Monday of the month to help families, students, our kids, parents, to help them prepare for college with more clarity, strategy, and to have the confidence going into college, going into that next phase of their life with confidence, with their head up high, with a plan, most importantly,
with a plan.
with a plan. So I'm so glad we're continuing this conversation tonight. You have any words, intro you want to say to our viewers?
No, thank you so much for joining us again today. I love these conversations. Just chatting and asking questions and talking about all the things I've learned throughout my process and things I'm still learning because things change all the time. But I think it's nice. I think it's important to share what you know. And sometimes those closest to you don't listen. So it's nice when it's just like
That one right
a
there.
new
Yeah.
audience because they're like, oh, what do you know? But they don't give you that like credit. So it's nice when other people benefit from those conversations, and I've had a lot of people that have benefited from me, just like giving me feedback. So I think it's helpful, and just having it as a conversation. You ask questions, and then we can answer and just share with the team. I think it's great.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. So I want to start off with student loans, debt.
Okay.
I mean, the news, there's so much happening. And the question I want to start off with is so important because not all debt is structured the same way.
Correct.
And families really need to understand what they are agreeing to before they borrow, before you check those boxes, before you sign off on that paperwork. So when people ask the question, how much student loan debt is too much?
Okay.
My honest answer is this. Any amount of debt as a financial planner, any amount of debt that creates unnecessary long-term financial stress,
Yeah.
strain is too much.
Mm,
It's too much. Now, just because a student is offered a loan does not automatically mean they should take the full amount. Because
absolutely.
we hear instances, we see instances of people doing that.
Correct.
Families really have to take a moment and ask critical questions
Yeah.
and and honestly answer those questions.
Hmm.
How much are we borrowing in total?
Yeah.
What is the cost?
Hmm.
We covered that in part one. Anyone who missed it, please, Ms. Jimmy went in details in terms of the cost of college. What might repayment look like now and later? Does this amount make sense for the student's likely path after graduation? Is it worth it?
Hmm.
And are we borrowing because it is truly necessary? Are there other pathways that you can take to avoid student loans?
Hmm.
Or because we just did not plan early enough.
Yeah. Or research, right?
Yeah. So, how much, Jimmy, from your perspective, is too much
Right. So
for
I'm with
students?
you. I'm with you when you say you think zero, and I'm the same way. Like I think like if you don't have to, you shouldn't. But that's not the reality for most people. So what I would say is like whatever their future career is,
Mhm.
the first year salary, the student loan should not be more than the anticipated first year salary. So if your child is going to, I don't know, whatever job description is, and the average salary in this state is let's say 80,000, then that should be the max that they should want to get, ideally, right?
Really good.
Last time we talked about there's some cases that it may make sense, right? Like truly, and I try to say that there are few schools in this country um, that maybe even getting a $400,000 student loan for 4 years could make sense. Like if your child is into like tech or like AI, something, and they get into like an MIT,
Mm.
there's almost a guarantee that they would get out of school if the child is really like focused and like doing all the things, like getting the internships and the networking and doing all the right things, there's a high chance that they will leave school with a job paying them high 180 and up per year.
Yeah.
So maybe they're planning to stay home for the next 4 years and pay off that student debt, you know. So you can we can't always say there's no one size fits all person, right? So I always tell people that, right? But like if your degree is in, I'm not gonna say any degree because I don't want to offend somebody, but you know, they're like degrees that are like high paying and some that they're not, right? And you have a choice of maybe going to the school that maybe you only have to take 25,000 for the 4 years or even 40,000 versus the big name school where, yeah, you know, you might have to pay 60,000 a year. So that's looking at 280,000. But then after college, you're going to start off with 60,000 a year. That's not a smart option, right? And so those are the kind of conversations you need to have. And for me, and just even just like other experts that I've talked about, this is typically try to stay within a year of like anticipated salary for the first year, because that's what you can mainly handle. And we don't know what the other debt will look like. You may want, sometimes they want to get a car, you know, are you paying? So all of those things, are you paying for your rent or you staying at home? There's so many factors, but typically whatever you can make in a year, that's what is advised that you get. If it's up to me, I say as low as possible. Zero is the good number.
Zero. Yeah. Because everything you said is so true. Bottom line is they should have a strategy. If you have to take student loan, make sure you have a strategy to pay it off. Ms.
Hmm.
Jimmy just shared one of the principles that is very important. Your first year salary. Because student loan debt, it does not just disappear after graduation. It can follow a student for years and affect other financial goals much
Yeah,
later.
don't you remember when Obama was in office and he said he just paid off his student loan? That man was in his 40s, the president of the United States. It did go to some really good colleges. He went to Harvard and I don't know what else. But I mean, it carries on. You want to buy a house, your student loan is part of the debt to income ratio. Like it wasn't before, and then now it's back. So all those things matter. There's so many things you want to do in the future. It's always gonna be there, and you cannot. Even when you file bankruptcy, that doesn't go away.
It doesn't. It definitely does. And I'm glad you pointed out the example of buying a house. Because for you as a realtor, that
Hmm.
is something you look at when you meet with your clients,
Yes,
you know, when you're doing your analysis with them. All of these things affects your financial decisions for big
absolutely.
purchases that you need to make after graduation,
Right.
you know. And with the Trump administration, with the one big beautiful bill, they keep adding on and changing and modifying the requirements
Yeah.
to for the credit score, for things to require you getting a mortgage or even getting an apartment or a lease. So everything connects. And which brings me to the next category of conversation, the different types of loans that we have.
Okay.
We have the federal and the private loans. Now,
Mm-hmm.
this one here, I want you to help us understand, help our viewers know the full depth of the difference, because there's a big difference between those two.
There's a huge difference. So with the federal loan, I actually took notes here because I wanted to make sure that I was giving it the right one. There's actually a cap that you can get per year. So as a freshman, so the first year, the cap they can get is 5,500, and it goes up a year. So sophomore, second year, it's 6,500. Third and fourth year is 7,500, 7,500, right? Out of those numbers, only a certain amount is actually subsidized. And subsidized means the government doesn't charge you interest on some part of it, and they do. So I think like the first year for that 5,500, 3,500 can be subsidized, and the other 2,500 is not. Like, so you have to pay interest on that. So even if you decide that you want to get student loans, when you add 5,500 to 6,000, that's about what, 12,000, and then
Mhm.
7,500 times two, that's 15,000. That's only a max of 27,000 that you can get with your name as a
Mhm.
student without any cosigner,
Hmm.
right? Now, 27,000, that's more, that's not enough for many schools, even state schools, right? Um, so what happens to the rest? That means as the parent or the guardian, right? Some people don't have parents, maybe their grandparents, you have to get the loan in your name. So it's not really your child's loan. And a lot of people say that, well, my child will pay after college. Well, maybe they would, maybe they won't. If they don't get a job, they can't pay. And we all know what's happening in the job market right now too. It's not easy to get a job. But even if you decide that you want to get a parent plus loan, which in the past I don't know that there was a cap, but now with the big beautiful bill, there's a cap on the parent plus loan. So parents can only go up to $20,000 a year per student, up to 65,000 lifetime for for a child. So again, some schools where it's like 60, 70,000 a year, how are you going to cover 4 years if there's a lifetime cap of 65,000, right? And so even for grad school now, right, there's professional studies. If you want to be a lawyer or a doctor, there's now a cap of 200,000, and it could cost 400,000 to go to medical school. So again, those numbers are not adding up to what people can qualify for. Now, parent plus loans is different. They're also private loans, and private loans, though there's more flexibility there, but the interest rates are higher, obviously. And again, the student cannot get private loans. They need somebody with a cosigner, because most students at 18 don't even have a credit score. Like the first time they're getting, unless the parents did some things in the past, which you can add your kids to your credit cards when they're young. By the time they turn 18, they have some kind of credit. I don't even know if that will be enough to get student loans, but at least they have a decent number to work with and build on.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. I hope we're all taking notes. Please, please, please make sure that you're taking notes. And you can always go back and watch the replay on YouTube. And if you have any questions in the length of our conversation, please drop them in the comment section. Would love to make sure that we are addressing your questions or concerns around student loans, around the whole college experience as a whole. Because the main essence of us coming on this live every third Mondays is to have practical conversations around college planning. So let's talk college. Let's talk college. Now, still talking on student loans, private versus federal loans. I love the fact that you emphasize there that private loans, their interest rates are much higher than the
Mhm.
federal loans. So families, please never treat both types of loans like they are the same thing,
They're
because they are
not.
not. They are not. They're two different things, two different requirements. They're structured differently. Their requirements are different. Their qualifications is what I mean. They're so different.
Yeah.
And I do want to say this as encouragement to our families out there. Yes, it is possible for some students to go to college without taking out loans. It is possible, and we have testimonies of that. But families, you have to be intentional. You have to plan and strategize. It will not happen by accident at all. Some realistic ways that families can reduce or even avoid student loans completely, it starts with being intentional right from the start, early. Don't wait to the very week or the very month or the very summer that your kid is getting an admission to go to college. No, that is not the way to go about it. First, I'll just share a few things. We talked about this on the last live, but families can apply for scholarships, grants as early as possible, and do it consistently on a weekly, on a daily basis, because there's free money out there. There's money that does not usually. This is money that you don't have to pay back. It's yours to keep. If you missed the last live, go back and rewatch. Secondly, you can build a financially realistic college list. And Miss
Mhm.
Jimmy highlighted a lot of that on our last live too. And your college list should include schools that are strong fit for both your academic and financial needs.
Mhm.
Thirdly, earn college credits. Go on the website, see what qualifies for you, the dual enrollment, the AP classes, all the college credit options. See what works for your degree requirements and to help you cut on your costs. Can you take a few classes in a community college? Can you take a few classes in high school before you go on full fledged to college? All of those strategies are very much applicable today.
Mhm.
And fourthly, consider in-state colleges, public schools, or even starting, community college, like I said earlier, and transfer. If it makes sense for your student, please plan it out. Speak to their counselors, book an appointment with a college advisor to help you, guide you along the way. And lastly, I want to say that families, you can also compare the real costs after aid. Go on the website of the colleges you're considering and compare the tuition. So
Hmm.
it is possible. All we're saying here is giving you the tools and the strategies to help navigate your college
Absolutely.
journey along
Absolutely.
the way.
Yeah.
Um, I want us to talk about college costs a little bit more,
Okay.
because many families will wait until senior year or until we get the acceptance letters coming in and we're celebrating and having graduation parties. I'm sure we can count the number of graduation parties going on right now, you know, but reality will set in August when college starts. Um, Tuition, everything is due. But when should families start talking about college costs? When should
Definitely,
yes.
definitely you can start as young as possible. Like, it's so funny. I'm in quite a few groups, and you start seeing the conversations, just like you said. Once this kids is like time to apply, you start seeing the kid parents say, "My child is applying to all these schools. I know we can afford it. I'm not sure how to have the conversation with them. They've worked so hard. They deserve to go to these schools, and I don't have anything saved, and I my credit is bad, so I know I can get student loans." And the child is like really like excited about this great school that they've worked so hard for, right? And it's really heartbreaking, truly. Even
Mm,
at this time, May 1st is this typically decision day. That's when you let schools know if you're coming or going. After that day, they can withdraw your
offer.
admission,
Mhm,
and a lot of kids can make a decision, right? Because the school they want, they can afford it, right? And they did
mhm,
not apply to enough schools to where they might have been able to afford it. So in order to remove a lot of disappointments, it's best to just have the conversation early. Like I always give my because when my son was applying, he went to like a private boarding school, like a prep school.
okay.
So he really wanted like something different. So he applied to a lot of like out of state big schools like the UVA, VTech, UMD. But I knew that those don't give money. Like I knew it. And I told him that, right? But he had already had three offers by December. So I was like, okay, worst case scenario, he has some great options, right? But I just let him because that's his journey, right? But
Mhm,
I told him, I said, the schools you apply to, the max you're gonna get is probably like 15, 20, if any, because they're
mhm,
out of states. They don't really a lot of their funding is for the in-state kids. Like
mhm,
they don't give a lot of out-of-state scholarships. But I needed him to. It was his journey. He needed to go through it. He got accepted. He was happy, but they were not really options,
mhm,
because first they were expensive and he didn't get any soccer offers from those schools anyway. But sometimes let them apply and things could happen. I mean, something could come up, but it's important that you have good options. Like if
mhm,
all else fails, these are some options that we can work with. At this time of the year, there are kids that don't have options. So now they're asking, are there any schools with rolling admissions? And it's kind of like, yeah, you might be able to apply now, but now what are you going to do with housing? Housing is probably already done. You passed so the many factors. So I say, so back to answer your question, because I'm just talking, but as
mhm,
early as possible, right? As early as possible, start having this conversation. Whatever that looks like for you, it doesn't have to be, you can say, you only have $25,000 in your 529,
mhm,
that may cover this. Or, we're willing to get up to 15,000 or 20,000 a year
mhm,
for college. Or if your child went to private school and you're already paying $25,000 per year, you might say, what, we'll still continue to do that through college, right? But we're not willing to go above that. So whatever that looks like for you, but let them know, so they know how to target. They can apply to certain schools, but they can also apply to schools that, okay, if this doesn't work out, we don't get the money, we don't get the scholarships. We know that we have some good options.
mhm, mhm. That's great. This is another important one I want us to cover: mistakes. Jimmy, what are some of the biggest mistakes families make when paying for college? When paying
I'll
for
say when paying for college, the biggest mistake is not really, I don't say paying for college, but trying to pay for college is not researching the options. A lot of times, a lot of the schools will actually even work with you. So you can maybe go to a school when you get the your package, you can go back and ask for more money in grants, and if they really want you, they can give you the money. Also, I think we've talked about not planning in advance. Even when you're in school, not continue to apply for scholarships. So I always tell people all the time, just because you're in school and you've been able to cover the first year, think about the scholarships that are renewable and the scholarships that are not renewable. If the scholarship is renewable and you're covered for 4 years, of course you don't have to, but you probably should still. You can get extra money and use it for other things. However, if it's not renewable, keep applying for scholarships, keep doing things to make you desirable to the scholarship committee so that you get the money and that you're able to cover the 4 years and not just the first year or the second year for college. Did we lose her? Okay,
No,
no,
I'm
I thought we
here.
lost.
Here. I'm here.
Yeah, so I
I'm
think that's one of the things. Just like don't stop, at the first, because a lot of times that's another thing. People will cover the first year and they get
Mhm.
lazy, right? And then the second year they have to withdraw. That's how that happens too. Or even the second semester, that's happened too, because they
Mm.
went, or like second semester they're doing a GoFundMe and it's like $30,000, and you might get it if you're lucky, if it's one of those good days that people are generous or not. So again, just continue, have a plan that makes sense. Don't have a plan where I'm gonna do a GoFundMe every 3 to 4 months. That's not sustainable, right?
Uh,
So have a plan that makes sense and continue to apply even throughout your undergrad year, and if you're going to graduate school, the same.
yeah, that's great. Um, I would say another mistake is assuming or procrastinating.
Yes. Yeah,
We'll
way too
figure it
much.
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll figure it out later.
Mhm.
We'll figure it out later. And sometimes families focus so much on getting in, getting the letters, than they do spend time enough time trying to
Staying
understand
there. Yes.
how
Yes.
to pay. How are we gonna pay for this? You know,
Correct.
practical versus reality.
Right.
Let's be realistic about these things. Can we
And the
afford it?
and the plan has to make sense. Like I've even heard people say, "Oh, my child plans to work," but what does that look like? And how much can that child make? Now, I know for internships you can make a lot of money. I My son does internships in the last 2 years. His friends, you can make really good money, right?
Yep.
But it's nice to have to do that without having to worry about the cost of college. There's this kid, really brilliant kid that I follow. He goes to Cornell engineering, and he just like did this rant about how like he feels he's having like this, he's living in gratitude, but he's also so stressed out because he's paying his way through college. So, and he just got an internship with Jane Street. If you know anything about Jane Street, they're like a quant. I mean, you could literally make $40,000 in 2 months in the summer. They pay. Yeah, like you leave, if you get a Jane Street job when you graduate, like good for you. They pay a lot of money. And he just got an internship making that, but he's still not happy because he's covering the full cost of the college. And he's like, it's so stressful. I have 2 jobs, trying to keep up my grades, trying to intern. And he was just having events. And it's like, do you really want that for your child? Or does your
Wow.
child want that? And how sustainable is that to constantly be in that? Like he said, I live in constant anxiety because I don't know if I could cover the next bill. That's a lot. That's a reality for a lot of kids, right? Because so I don't know that whole plan about, yeah, of course they would work. You want them to, especially now they need to intern so that when they
Mhm.
finish they can get offers. But that shouldn't be the plan for paying for college. That should be the plan for them, like building their nest, like their retirement, their stock fund, just like their summer fund. Like that should be like
Yeah.
just some money they could do whatever, what not like I need under 40,000 by the end of July. That's just
Oh,
stressful. That sounds stressful as an
and the
adult. I can't imagine it as a 20-year-old.
it is. It's just so amazing how, I mean, it's so sad because the cost of education has tripled
Correct.
3 times since, I mean, last time we went to school,
Yeah.
and it's just so heartbreaking. And it's the fact that it's not even reducing or staying constant, it's increasing every year,
Hmm.
every year,
Every
you know.
year, traditionally, college cost goes up by 4%. Now, there are
Mhm.
some schools that when you get in, they keep the cost the same for the next 4 years. But most schools they go up. I mean, my son is gone up every year about 4%. that's
Wow.
that's typical.
It's so heartbreaking because it's It's college, it's education, you know.
Shouldn't
It
be this
should,
stressful. It shouldn't be this hard.
oh, it's like getting a mortgage,
Yeah.
you know. It's like owning a property. Now, many of the kids now even think, is it even worth it? You know,
It is worth it. It
these are
is
conversations that
worth it.
I hear around me. You
Yeah.
know, we're trying to be practical here. Is
Yeah.
it,
I think
is
if
it?
you strategize and you do the nice thing, that's when it feels like it's worth it. Again, if you choose a school, you're not really, you don't have this whole issues with the around cost, then you can really have a good college experience, right? You can try things. You can do things just because. You can try something. Obviously you want to keep your GPA as high as possible, but that's
Mhm.
not the end or be all of college. But again, if you have to you need the money, then that's a stress point for you. You have to work maybe one or two jobs. That's a stress point. But if you don't have to deal with all those things, right? You're networking, you building skills, you meeting new people, you getting to travel with your friends. Those are all the things that you want for your children when they go to college, right? You want them
Yeah.
to build skills, you want them to network, expand their horizon, you want them to travel, you want them to build relationships, you want
Mhm.
them to leave feeling like a full human. They're like, okay, now like I can navigate my next
Level.
adulthood life with
Right.
all the skills that I've gained. But it's hard to do that if you focus on just working and paying college. You can't even take an unpaid internship, just that may be a great fit for you, because no, you have to make money. So
Yeah. That's it. That's it right there. If you're watching and this topic is helping you, please, 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 would like if you'd like to go deeper in navigating the college or space. We want to work with parents and students. So we're putting together a college prep workshop. We're still exploring it, and your response helps us know the level of interest that is out there, especially to our viewers. We want to make sure that we tailor this workshop to your interest and that of your kids, your children, your wards, your students. The link is in the description section as well as in the comment section of this video. It's a quick, short survey. Just click on it and fill it out, please. Fill out the form. I would love to connect with each and every one of you, send out the announcements and everything once we have those forms back based on the feedback we get. Now, Jimmy, I do want to cover more on the mistakes,
okay.
but on this in this angle, I wanted to talk about what families should not do during the college process. I really want us to go from application all the way to even graduation date. What they should not do.
Okay. So what they should not do is not give themselves options. I've actually had real life people call me and say, we don't have options. And I'm not even kidding. And this
Mm,
is as recent as 2 months ago. Because the child applied to only rich schools, she got in some, but they're not giving her enough money. That's a reality. And when I say this, I think I have brilliant boys as well. So that's not the case at all. It's not about your child's brilliance. For every brilliant child, there are 1,000 brilliant kids. I mean, I think there are 4,000 high schools in America. And if only the top schools picked
mm,
from the valedictorians and salutatorians alone, they'll probably fill out their full class. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So it's not about like undermining your child's brilliance or not thinking your child is worth this, or it's not about that. It's the fact that there's so many kids and you need to give yourself options. So it's important that when you're applying, you don't apply to 5 or 6 rich schools only. Ideally, you should be applying to between 10 to 14 schools. And out of those 10 to 14, break it down by rich, target, and safety schools. Safety is regardless, I know we're going to get in. Like maybe the acceptance rate is like 75 or higher. They give money. Your child, because they're brilliant, they'll be at
Mhm,
the top of the list and they might get the presidential, and they
mhm.
get the money. So it's important that they apply to enough schools,
Yes.
um, and really just like not all reach. So have a certain amount of reach, certain amount of target, and certain amount of safeties. That's very important. I think it's also important that your child throughout this process is not just focused on their GPA and their SAT scores.
Mm,
that's not enough to take you anywhere. You need more than that. You need to be able to sell yourself, just like those kids want, they're looking for certain type of kids. And from those experiences of like getting into like extracurricular activities or programs, they're able to really have things to speak on when their essay comes, right? If all they have is their GPA and their SAT, it's very difficult to write the essays that the college asks for. You have to write a statement, essays, like those activities help them build experiences, right? So it's very important that they don't just focus on that. And another thing I always say is it's important that they're just not doing stuff to check off a list for a resume. Truly do things that they enjoy, because these people can tell, right? If you're just doing it because, well, if I do this, this is going to be the result, right? They can tell. They can tell by, I did this. Okay, I went to this 6 weeks program and my parents paid $10,000 this summer. Okay, and then what? What did you do with that?
Mm.
Right? So it's very important that you're not just checking off a list. You actually, and you're tying everything together to what you say your passion is or what you say you want to study. Like make it make sense, right? Don't just be
Yeah.
like doing all the things just to have a checklist of your resume. So those are some of the things that I would say that they shouldn't do. Let me see what else. I don't think, I know some people think differently, but they can visit schools, right? But
Mhm.
you don't have to visit every school you apply to. You don't even know if they're going to accept you. Once they accept you, you will get the chance to visit the schools, but visit schools around you. So if your child, for example, is not sure what size of schools they want, for example, then maybe like if you're in Georgia,
Mhm.
UGA for most people is about an hour. Like if you're within the metro Atlanta,
Mhm.
it's like I know for me it's 45 minutes. Maybe take them there. UGA, it's a bigger school, I think 20 something, I don't know how many, it's a big school.
Yep.
Walk around the campus, then maybe do a Georgia Tech, that's a more private setting. Maybe do an Emory, right? Then Georgia State is right there, Kennesaw State. So you have an idea of what like a smaller school looks like versus a bigger school, and then maybe you can say, I don't care. Some kids care, and some kids think they can, they find out that they really don't, right?
Mm.
But you can do that. They can still go to tour schools around them. If you go on vacation, maybe take them to schools. If you're going to Texas, you could go to Rice, you can go to University of Houston. They don't have to want to go to that school. Like if you're in Boston, you could take them to Harvard, take them to MIT. I mean, when we would travel, we'll take our kids to those schools just so they could see. They didn't mean that that's where they had to go or wanted to go, but just let them start getting familiar with those college environments and start seeing what they want. And sometimes people go to those schools and they strive for that, and sometimes they decide that's not what they want. So just do that. You don't have to spend all this money going all these college tours, and I don't know that that's it's important. For one, you don't even know if they're gonna get in. So you apply to 20 schools, you go view all these 20 schools, and maybe you get in 10 of them or 8 of them. Like it's
If you're
costly,
lucky.
not cheap. You can go once you kind of decide on maybe your top 3, top 4, then you can go visit and then make
Mm.
a decision then.
Okay. That is a great point. It's just so funny. I love the fact that you talked about travel. It's summer now. What are the things that our students and parents can start doing? I want us to take it from the point of those in high school or
Mm-hmm.
middle school looking forward to college, and then those in college already, what activities can they engage themselves in the summertime now?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll start with high school. High
Mhm.
school already, if you don't have a high school plan already, I'm sorry, you're behind. Do better next summer. Because most of the summer programs open up by the end of the year. By March, some are closed by January, February, March. You're lucky
Mm.
to find anyone past March. So it's gonna be difficult to get into any of those summer programs per se. So, but the good news is you can start searching now. Come up with a list, find out when the application opened up this year, so the next year you have a plan, right?
Yes.
Sometimes it's as simple as just having a Google Docs. I have that for my son, and we just look, or something that he may be interested in, but it's junior year. I already have it. We know when it's gonna open up, and then we're gonna be ready for him to apply when time comes. Or he may change his mind, right? He may say, I don't want to go anywhere for 6 weeks in the summer. That's valid. Maybe we need to look for 2-week programs or not. Another thing you can do that people really underestimate is getting a job. Colleges actually love that, and it's something that, I mean, you can't lose. They're making child is making money, they're gaining skills. Colleges love that. It actually on the it falls very high in terms of activities, even
Mhm.
bigger than maybe doing a pay to play. A lot of times people apply for like this Harvard summer program or Stanford, and they're paying 10, 12,000. Colleges don't like that because they consider pay to play. It doesn't do anything to help your resume. You better off saving that money and going to south of France and enjoying yourself with your family than doing that right now. But if it's a program where maybe like there's an MIT mites program that is free, if you get that, they know that MIT already vetted you, so
Mm.
that gives you that, like a better, if they see that on your resume, they know that's a great student, they're great math, so that gives you an advantage. But that's free, it's not paid for. Most of the ones that they really love are not paid for. Or like you do Telluride. My son applied for that. He decided he doesn't want to do 6 weeks. I'm a bit salty, but I get it, right? But that's something that, especially for like the humanities, that's really high there as well. So look
Okay.
for those colleges that those programs that you don't have to pay, or like the fees are minimal. All those ones that you have to pay a lot of money, they
Not
don't do
worth it.
anything for your resume. They consider pay to play, unless you just want your child to have that experience. When my son was younger, we did stuff like what was the name of this? It was a program, but we would do like college stuff. It was free, but I just want him to have those experiences. So he gained a lot of independence early on, which is why we're comfortable with him going to boarding school. He would do like 2 weeks here, 3 weeks here, and just really. So that's something you can do as well. Maybe student camps, summer camps, where they start leaving the house. I think it's difficult for a child to, or parent to feel comfortable with a child going out to another state in college when they never really slept outside of their
Mhm.
home. They haven't spent a week outside of the home. How confident are you or that child going to be now they want to spend 4 years in another state? So even if it's a week here, a week there, you can do that to just that building that, independence and, and going on that. So that's something that they can do. But a job, you can get a job now, even tomorrow, right? Places are hiring ice cream shops, Chick-fil-A, Publix, and those really stand well. Another thing you can do is intern. So we have a network, I know I use my network when it comes to my job. I'm like, dude, what do you want to do? What job? Do you have a reference? And my kids, and if you know my oldest son, if he knows you're in the corporate space, he's probably reached out to you,
Mm.
just for referral if he sees a job on your website, right?
Yep.
The same thing. In the summer or during spring break, I'll have him come to work with me and shadow people. That I'll just have him shadow people, shadow
Nice.
executives, the director, the VP, and he would do that. Guess what? He built a relationship. Now he's interning with them for the second year because I removed myself and he built relationships with those people. And now when they see me, how is Jordan? What is he up to? And they reach out to him, right? So
Mm.
if they have nothing to do, take them to work with you. Let them sit down with all these people. You say you want to be an engineer. Well, there's an engineer. Go sit with him for the day. Then go to this other engineer and sit with him. You say you want to do data science. Well, this guy's been doing data science and he started as this. Now he's the VP of the data team. Go sit with him.
Mm.
Like, those things are helpful. They're helpful to build connections. They see and they decide if maybe I don't like that. Maybe I don't want to do this anymore. That doesn't seem as fun. Or you have a doctor, somebody that wants to be a doctor, but you have a
Mhm.
doctor friend. Let them go, just see what it's like, right? Let them
Yeah.
talk to, can I come to your office with you for 2 days out of the week? They can do that. Or you can maybe get a traditional internship, apply, reach out to people. You can
Mhm.
also do research. I mean, there's a lot of noise about research now because, again, kind of like the summer programs, they're now pay to play research programs. So trying to figure out which is pay to play versus which is a real research. But they can do that even if it doesn't help them per se. They gain skills, they learn things about what they want to do in the future, and maybe they have something to add to that space. So those are all the things they can do. Read. Please read every day. Like people really underestimate reading. If you haven't done SAT, the only way to prepare for the English part of SAT is to read. Like build your reading endurance. So like read every day, even if it's for 30 minutes. Please read. So
Yep.
doesn't matter what grade they should be reading. Now, if you're in college, obviously internships, right? That's a big thing
Yeah.
because as you apply, as you get older, like in freshman year, if you get internships, you got lucky. Second year already, you kind of want that because You can't have things in high school on your resume when you're applying to work. You have to have a college. What have you done in the last 4 years? All right. So it's
Mhm.
important that you start interning. Now we're 2026, 2027 internships have been opened up for the last 2 3 months. So you should be applying for 2027 already if you're not. So those are things you can do. If you maybe volunteer, if you want to get into like med, even if you don't have an internship, maybe you can volunteer in the hospital, right? To have something that you can speak on to add on to your experiences. Definitely fellowships, be applying to fellowships, career prep programs. There's a lot of flying opportunities for kids. It's a lot of applying, but even if you say, just do 1 or 2 a week, that's
Mhm.
52 a year. That's a lot, right?
Yeah.
So those are things you should be doing: applying for internships, applying for fellowships, applying for career prep programs. A lot of those things are free.
And to add to that, scholarships.
And applying for scholarships, absolutely. Never stop. Never
Mm-mm.
stop applying for scholarships. Always apply for scholarships. And look, I know it's not easy. Those rejections are going to come. The higher the stake, the more the rejections. Truly.
Hmm.
I mean, you're not going to get yes to everything, but really all you need is one yes for an internship. If you're lucky, you get two. My son is doing two internships this summer because one said yes, and then one he did in spring. They said, "We love you so much. We want you to continue over the summer, even if it's just 10 hours a year."
Wow.
Awesome. Like, so, but all you need is one. But for that, he probably applied to 50 and he got no. So
Hmm.
I always add that because I want people to know that when I say this, I understand like there's a lot of rejection. My son gets a lot of rejection because he applies for a lot of like really great internships. So yeah, the people that applying they're brilliant, they have great resumes. He's just one of many. Sometimes it gets no from the top, sometimes it's really good though. Once it gets an interview, I'm like, okay, you have a high percentage for interview, but a lot of times they don't even interview you. They just say, "We're sorry."
Your application has been
They say,
denied.
"We're sorry," right? I need to ask him. I mean, he probably applied for over 50 this year because he tells me, "Oh, mom, I applied, or I have an interview, or I had to do the eye view, which is like the video interview and stuff."
Mhm.
And then he gets the email, and sometimes like, ooh, and somebody's like, okay, great, next phase. But if you don't apply, you will never get it. You apply, a lot of them would say no. Same with scholarships, right? There's one
Mhm.
I really wanted him to get, and we found out that he didn't get it, but it was a really good one.
Um,
I was like, oh, that sucks, right? But he didn't get it. But he has
yeah.
some that he has applied for that we're still hoping that will come through. So it's like you apply, you're gonna get a lot of rejections. As the stakes get higher, the rejections come at you. But that's okay. It's preparing for the real world because in the real world you're gonna get a lot of rejections as well.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you for all those gems. She was just dropping it. I hope you got notes. One of the things that you said that really spoke to my heart was taking your kids to college to work with you, to
Mhm.
shadow you on the
Yeah,
job. Not just you, but
not
also
just you.
your coworkers,
First of
your
all, they don't
managers.
want to shadow you. They're like, really, mom? They don't think you're like. It doesn't matter what your position is. They just like, okay, mom. But,
Yeah.
but they're
But
people, and
Mhm.
and this is one thing I always tell my kids. This is the age where people want to help you, and I think I've said that in the past.
Yes.
Trust me. When a 16-year-old reaches out to me and say, or like a 20-year-old and say, Miss Jummy, for internship, someone, as I was on this call now, someone just replied me because I gave her feedback on her resume. When I leave this call, I'm going to respond again. She's young. She wants, of course. But once you start hitting that 24, 25, people will are like, they don't care anymore.
Adult.
But like, you have at 16, people love
Leverage
kids that
it.
are reaching out. They really just love that. So I tell them all the time, your youth, your age is an advantage. Reach out to people. They would open up for, I mean, there's some people that maybe may not, but for the most part, most people will say yes. They're gonna say yes to a coffee chat. They're gonna say yes to a shadow. I think Jordan may have shadowed 8 to 10 people. Only one person said no, but it wasn't because she didn't. She was like, I'm gonna be working from home entirely this week, right? Everyone
Mhm.
was like, of course you should, but also I always tell my kids, when you benefit from someone, you have to pay forward in a small way. So when he interned last year, guess what? He took all of them to lunch. Now they remember. And how much was lunch? Maybe $15 because there's a space there. Take them all to lunch to show thank you. Talk about what's new, what else you've done. They appreciate it. One of those guys was the one in hiring for this. Literally, it got to me. I was like, "Mom, you won't believe who is interviewing
He's
me."
interviewing.
It was,
Wow.
and but the guy, I didn't talk to him again, but he said, this has nothing to do with our previous relationship. Your skills and your interview spoke for himself, and everybody else, I only did make the decision. Everyone on the panel did. But
Mm.
going into an interview already feeling comfortable with one of them, that's an advantage,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
don't underestimate, like, just reaching out to people and having those, because you never know, that person may especially in the space that you're interested in. It's important that you really open yourself up to those opportunities, even if it's in your parents' workplace. So what, even if it's where your mom works? I
It
mean,
is. It
let's
is.
use nepotism. Okay, all these other people use it, we need to do the same.
We we still need to, yeah, leverage it.
Leverage your relationships.
Yeah, build on it.
Absolutely.
It's been an awesome conversation. Whew, I can't believe we're almost to the
I
top of.
know, it's like sick. We've been yapping for 52 minutes.
Okay, let's kind of wrap it up here.
Okay.
But before we go, I'd love for you to give your final. I'd love for you to share with our audience what we're working on for the next couple of
Okay,
weeks.
I'm really excited about this one.
Me
So
too.
obviously we've had these conversations and you guys have showed up, but we thought, like, how cool would it be to get these kids that we know have gone through this process. I've had some successes, whether it's they've gotten like big scholarships, like maybe the Coca-Cola scholarship, the Gates scholarship. What are some big ones again? Just like some really, I have Dell scholarship, um, Orochio scholarship, Cameron Impact scholarship, all these
Hmm.
big name scholarships. How about we invite some of them and we just chat with them and share what the process was like? What were some of the things they had on their resume? Why they think they were picked for the scholarships? What has their experience in college been like? Their experience with getting internships and programs, and how are they continuing to build on those things? So we're gonna have some students come and we're gonna interview them and share with you guys. And I'm really excited about that, because it's one thing for us to share what we think you should do. It's another thing for you to kind of talk,
Share.
like, show you the people that have done it and it's worked for them. So I think that'll be really fun and interesting.
Awesome. Yes, I'm looking forward to that as well. Get some fresh faces here,
Exactly.
and really tell the students out there, tell our parents, our families that you know we've seen it done. It's not just
It can
talk.
be
We're not
done.
just talking the talk.
Yeah.
We have the testimonies. It's doable. It's
Yeah.
achievable with
Mm-hmm.
the right strategy. And once you believe in yourself, believe in your kid as well on that journey, empower them, help them along the way. Be that. Well, like Jimmy will say, don't. What is it that you say again?
I don't
Don't,
even know what.
don't be. Don't let them do it themselves. Don't be there. You're just there to chaperone them. You're just there to
Oh yeah,
support.
it's they have to take it on, or
They
else
have to take it
yeah,
on.
it's their
Yeah.
role. We're just here to support them, guide them, whatever support looks like, right? Some kids, maybe you need to make the list for them. Some people, maybe you need to send a reminder, but they should be owning the process.
Yes, they should own the process. That's what
Yeah.
you say. Yes, that's what you usually say. But this is an awesome conversation. Thank you so much to
Thank
all
you
our
for having me
viewers.
again.
Thank you, my lovely co-host on Let's Talk College. Few key takeaways that I wrote down. Number one, if you absolutely have to go on student loans, make sure that your student loans in total is not higher than your estimated first year salary as a student. That's very critical because if you're right there, you're already living above your means,
Hmm.
and that will take you forever to pay off. If you graduate with a student loans of 30,000, for example, apply interest rate to that. It compounds. And over time, within 2 years, that 30 grand can easily become $60,000 if you're not careful. So let's make sure that we are being cautious, taking the right steps. Look at the other options that are out there for you. Sacrifice. It takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of discipline, everything we've shared today, but we know it's doable, it's attainable, it's achievable with the right strategy, with being determined to do it all the way. And give yourself options. There's another takeaway, to give yourself options. Have a strategy, but let your strategy have options. And don't focus on just your SAT and your GPA scores. There's more to the game of getting accepted into colleges. Ms. Jimmy shared a lot of those tips. Please, if you missed any part of this live, go back and rewatch and take notes and make a checklist for yourself. And if you really, 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 really want in-depth knowledge, and for her to go, for us to all to go in depth, giving you more tools, websites, resources that you can get the scholarship, you can get the fellowship programs, the internship, helping you with the applications, with your resume. We have a workshop we're putting together. 1 hour is too short to kind of share this information. So the workshop will really allow us to go in depth and give you tailored strategies for your students. The link is in the description section as well as on the chat as well. Please do what to just fill it out. It's a free form. No, we're not asking for your social security or any personal
Please.
information. Free, so free form. We're not asking for money. Just fill it out. We just want to help you. So help us to be able to help you. How about that? So fill it out, fill it out, fill it out, and let's know how we can come in and structure the workshop to really tailor it to our parents and students as well. Now, if tonight's conversation helped you, please make sure you give this video a thumbs up. The thumbs up, like we all hear, gives the algorithm the push that it needs to recommend this video to more individuals, more parents, more families out there that really need to hear this information and start applying this all the tools and practical solutions that we offered, and share this with another parent, another student who needs this information, because we will continue this Let's Talk College conversations every third Mondays to help families prepare wisely. The goal is to get as many families to enjoy college debt free, debt free. I want to leave you with this tonight or today, whichever time you're watching this or joining us. College planning is not just about getting in. Yes, it's a process, but it's also about making wise decisions now that will protect your future, your students or your child's financial future, and your family's financial future later on. So make sure that you have a plan. Have a plan. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining us tonight, Miss Jimmy. You have any
Thank you, guys.
final
No, just thank you. And we can fill out the form, and so we can see how we can. And I'm looking forward to the student
conversations?
series.
Mhm.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
All right. Have a
Awesome.
good one, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.